Okay. All right, so share my screen. All right, everybody see the screen that's on Zoom? Okay. All right. Windows here. Okay. First thing I'm gonna go is I'm gonna run back into chapter 2 section here and download those files again. Unfortunately, when you're on the lab computers here on campus, you have to, if you're using one of these, you have to download everything and keep it stored in the cloud or something, because every time you restart the computer, it wipes the hard drive. So, all right. So I'm going to save that to my desktop. Right. Open that zip file there. Again, if you guys online have any questions, just unmute yourself and just stop me. All right, so I got my chapter 2, and then if you still have your folder that we were working on Wednesday, the My Chapter 2, you can have that available. I'm gonna have to make a new one because since I'm on the lab computer here at school, I'll make a new one just like I did on Wednesday. All right, so I should have all that set up. Get brackets open here. One of the things with brackets too, and this will be handy when we get into the CSS, doing some of that, you can have 2 panes open. So like I could have my HTML file on this left side or the right side, and then have the CSS file on the other side. So you can kind of have both of them going at once. So, but I'm not, for today, I'm just going to switch back to the one pane. So to do that, you just go up to view and choose no split. And that'll give you just one big one there. All right, so we're going to open up that, let's see. All right, let's open up our template file again from the chapter 2 folder. So I'm going to file open and find that template. No. Make that a little bit bigger for you guys on the screen here at school. Is that enough? Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to kind of do our page here like in the book on the figure 2.19. So we're going to change our title here first to Trillium Media Design. And then we're going to go down here to the body, and we're going to go ahead and put in our header element. Okay. So we're going to start with header. Again, that's the headers are different than like the head section. The head is that top part where we keep our information about the page in there. All right. So in the header section, we're going to add an H1 tag. All right, and we're going to title that Trillium Media Design. Okay, and then we'll have our closing tag there for the header, which brackets should automatically put that in for you. All right, so then you can see the next section we want to do is the nav. So our navigation area. So we're going to use a nav element and have opening and closing tag. And then we want to bold that text there for the nav. So we're going to use the bold element, styling element there. So B, opening, closing, and then we're going to have home, All right, so if you remember the special characters for the space, we have to do that special character code. So ampersand NBSP semicolon, right? And then we're going to do services. So this is just to add a little bit of space between those words. Okay, again, add the space there. P. And then the last one, contact. Okay, so that'll be our nav section of the page. All right, so now we're going to go down and we're going to start the main section. All right, so we're going to do an H2 tag here, H2 element. Call that new media and web design. Right, and then after that closing H2 tag, we're going to start a paragraph element. So P, and type what's it got here? Trillium media design offers comprehensive range of services to take your company. Okay, we're going to come across another special character here. We want to do the little apostrophe. Okay, so we got to type ampersand hashtag 39 semicolon, and that's going to give us a little apostrophe there. So it's going to be companies, and that's one of the weird things about HTML is sometimes those special characters. It's kind of getting except when you're coding, it doesn't always work out like you would do in a word processing document. But presence to the next level. All right, and then our closing paragraph element tag there. All right, and then we're going to have one more here. So another H2. And it just says meeting your business needs. Another paragraph element. I'll type out what they got here. Your expert designers, our expert designers. So a lot of times you'll get text from the client that you're working with, from like a Word document or whatever, and you can copy and paste that into the code. You'll just have to pay attention to, like I said, like those special characters and some of that stuff, because when you paste it into an HTML file, you'll just have to go back through and like if there's apostrophes or ampersands, things like that, you'll have to just adjust that a little bit in the code. Create a website. Promote. Grow your business. Okay, so that is the end of our main section, and we're just going to add one more section here to our page, the footer. Okay, so we're going to add that element in. All right. Okay, and so in the footer, we're going to use the small. Hello. Good. For the CMS-135. Okay, what's your name?
Tanner. Thanks.
Tanner. Okay, nice to meet you. We're just going through the 2.10 activity. So, all right. Okay, so in this footer, we're going to use that small styling. Okay. And we're also going to use italicized text. So we're going to use the I element tag here. So copyright. And get that little copyright symbol. We do. Gosh dang it, the wrong one. Ampersand copy, semicolon, 2018. Put your name there if you want. All right. Okay, so that's gonna make that small, italicized, so it'll kind of look like it does there in the figure. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and save this file. So save as, I put it in my chapter 2. We're gonna call this one structure.html. And let's take a look at it in the live preview here. All right, so you can see we got our title up there in the top of the tab, our H1 header, got our nav area, and our H2 and our paragraph sections there, and then our footer. Okay. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to do 2.11 here. Let's just keep this file open that we have because we can kind of use it. We'll just adjust the text in there, but that way we'll kind of already have our structure set up. So we're going to do the coding to make it look like figure 2.21 there. All right. The main thing is we're going to add a div. It's kind of the difference here. So let's, first, before we go any further, we'll do a save as, and we're going to call this one casita.html. All right. Okay, so we're going to change our title here to Casita Sedona. All right. Okay, we're going to go down here now to our H1 header, and we're going to call this one Casita Sedona Bed and Breakfast. All right, so they have an ampersand there right after bed. Okay, so we have to use that special character. So do ampersand AMP semicolon. Bed and breakfast. All right. Now we're going to go down here to the nav. And same thing, we're going to leave it as bold. And you'll notice there in the book, they do a return after home. Okay, so they have them kind of listed kind of like this, and that's okay. You can do that. It's still, the browser, when it reads that, it's going to put them from left to right, just because we don't have any page breaks in the code. So it's kind of however you want to do it as far as formatting to make it easier for you to read in the HTML document. Okay, but they have home, rooms, events. Okay, we're adding that extra space. You know, if you hit spacebar one time, it will put in just, you know, the one space, but if we want extra spaces, we just have to put in that special code. So room, events, and then contact. Okay, so that's our nav. Let's go down to our main section here. Okay, so for this H2, we're going to change that. stay in the heart of Sedona. So that's our H2, and then let's put in our new paragraph text here. So if you're not a fast typer, that's okay. By the end of the class, you'll probably be a lot faster than you were when you started. Like I said, a lot of times when you get out there and you're working on web pages, a lot of this copy text will be provided to you, usually by the client or whoever. All right, so again, we need an ampersand, so we have to use that special code. So Axita, Sedona Bed and Breakfast. All right, so we need an apostrophe. All right, so ampersand, pound, or hashtag 39. You'll be close to art galleries, shops. Hiking trails and tours. At the free trolley. Shops and galleries. All right. And then we're going to do after that. Oops. How that got in there. A closing paragraph, not a closing p tag. The other thing too, you'll notice in brackets, if something's wrong, it'll usually highlight it as red on the screen. Okay, so then they got an H3 header here. So luxurious rooms. Okay. Just leave you guys can go ahead and just leave the text that we already have there. I'm not going to retype that out. Just try to save some time here. But one thing that we're going to do now, okay, so we want to put a div there inside that main section. Okay, so right after this last closing paragraph element tag, go ahead and we're going to add a div element. So div. Okay, and we're going to start it off with this strong element styling. So Casita, Sedona Bed and Breakfast. All right, want that bolded. After that, we're going to add a line break. Put the address in here. And one more line break. Sedona, Arizona. And more line break and then the phone number. Okay, we want to add some extra space there before the footer, so we'll put a couple more line breaks. There'll be like 2 returns on the keyboard. Right, so the only thing, make sure that div's with inside the main section. Okay, now we're going to go down to the footer. That's all fine. We'll just leave it the way it is. That's the same. So let's save this and take a look. All right, so it looks like everything's good here. Got our nav, our header, our main section with our little div right there. And so it should look about like that. All right, let's jump. We're going to go now to page 52. So let's look with some links. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. And let's open up that template file. So open recent template.html. All right, and we're going to call this one anchor example. Remember, anchor element is what we're using to link text within a HTML file. All right, so down here in our body, so we want to get a link here that just it says web development and design web development. Yeah, web development design foundations. Okay. So we're going to start off with our opening anchor element. We have to put in our href, which is telling it what URL or what file we're going to link to. Okay, so this one's going to a external URL, so we can just type in that full URL. What dev foundations.net. Okay, and so just make sure that's inside our double quotes there, parentheses, and we'll close that, and then we should have our closing A tag. Okay, in between those two is where we want to type the text that's going to show up on the page. Okay, so web development. Ampersand. Butcher likes to use ampersands. Development and design foundations. Okay, so it should look about like that. Let's save this as, I think, we got save it as anchor.html. So in your My Chapter 2. Preview it, make sure it works. Okay, so it should show up as a link there in blue. When you roll over, you'll notice you got the little cursor changes to the little hand. And click on it, it's going to take us to that page there. All right. Okay, let's go. I'm going to go to 2.13 here. Okay, so now we're going to start linking like multiple files that are in like one folder. Okay, we're going to do. We talked about relative and absolute links. So now we're going to work with relative hyperlinks. Okay. All right. So first step here, we're going to create a folder to put all of this in. We're going to call it My Practice. So close this out, jump back onto the home page here, go into My Chapter 2, and let's make a new folder. My Practice. All right. And we want to copy some files here. Okay, so we're going to copy sample files. We're going to copy structure. We're going to also copy a couple other ones. home and or services and contacts. So let's jump into the chapter 2 folder here. Right. So structure, we want to copy that guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click, copy, and let's right click and paste it into that new folder we just made. And then what are the other ones here? Oh, okay. Change it a little bit here. Okay, that's the only one we need for now. Okay, let's open up brackets. Let's open that file. So my chapter 2, my practice and structure. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, let's go into this nav area. Okay, so right here on line 12. And so we want to, so let's take a look so you see what it's looking like here in the browser. Okay, so we want to turn these links in the nav here. We want to make those functional links. Okay, so we're going to start out with home. And we're going to add our anchor element. So a space href equals and index.html. Was that opening tag up? Okay, and then I'm gonna have to move that, right? So I'm gonna highlight that closing anchor element tag. I'm gonna cut that, and I want to paste that right after home, because I want that text right there to be what is going to be linked. Okay, we can leave our space after there. I'm going to take this one to the next lines for services, and same thing, a space href equals services.html. Right, so same thing, we got to move that closing tag right at behind services, and same thing for contact. .html. So it should look about like that. So everything should be in kind of orange there for HTML files that we're linking to. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's do a file save as, and we're going to rename this just index.html. Okay. And then if we preview this, okay, see we got our nav here. It's now clickable. If I click on home, it's just the same file that I'm in right now, that index file. If I click services, it's going to give me, it says your file is not found. Okay. That's because we haven't created that file yet in the folder. So we'll close this. And let's go ahead and make, so this is kind of a common practice. You'll use like one file that you've created. So for example, this one's the index homepage. You can use that as basically the starting point for other pages. That way we don't have to recode all this nav and the title, all that stuff. So we're just going to make some modifications here and then resave it as like services and then a contact, okay? So let's go in and let's adjust this H2. All right, so line 18 here, I'm going to change that to services meet your business needs. Okay, and so this is on page 55, step 3B. Okay, so they got a description list here. All right, so I'm going to get rid of the paragraph, and we're going to do. I'm not going to type the whole thing out because I want to be able to get through some other ones here, but let's just start it off here. So DL for our description list. All right, so remember, then we have DT, our first. Oops, sorry. So for our first item there, it's website design. We also want to make that bold, so we're going to use the strong element. Okay, so website design, closing strong tag, closing tag. Then we're just going to add some text here. So DD. All right, so whether your needs are large or small, Trillium can get you on the web. All right, now we got our closing DD tag. Like I said, I'm not going to type the rest of those. You just type them out the same as we did that first one. But make sure you have your closing DL tag there. Okay, we're going to leave the footer the same. And let's go to File, Save As. We're going to rename this one services.html. And we're saving it in that same folder, My Practice, inside of your Chapter 2, My Chapter 2 folder. Okay, so we have to make sure that it's in the same folder as our index file. All right, and then so for the last one here, we're going to create that contact page real quick. Okay, let's go down here to the H2. We're going to change that text and we're going to make it contact Trillium. Whoops. Contact Trillium Media Design today. All right, so then we're going to add in just a unordered bulleted list, okay, like they have there in the figure 2.26. All right, so let's get rid of this description list. And under that H2, we're going to do an unordered list. So our first list item, so we have our opening LI, email, contact at Trillium Media Design. .com. Right, and then the next one is just their phone number. So this will be the second bullet. All right, then we got our closing UL. All right, so this one we're going to do another file save as contact.html. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's preview this then in your browser. Let's see if our links are working. Okay, so right now we're in the contact page. If I click on contact, it won't go anywhere because it's here already. But if I click on services, you'll see it jump to the services.html page. And then if I click on home, it should take me to the home page there, the index.html. Right. Okay. So real quick on page 57, let's go back to our contact HTML file here. We want to make this email a clickable link that would pull up an email application on the computer. All right, so we need to add in an anchor element here for the email. All right, so right after that, or right before the email address, we're going to add in our anchor element, so a href equals, and then in our quotes here, we're going to put mail to colon contact@trilliummediadesign.com, and the quotes around that. We're going to add in our closing bracket there. Okay, so at this point, we're not quite done yet, because if we saved it, no, there's not going to be any text that's going to show up, okay? All right, so remember, in between our two anchor elements, we have to have our text that's going to be on the page. So we just want it to be that email address. So I'm just going to highlight that and copy it. So just copy that text. And then I'm going to paste it right in between those two anchor element tags. Okay, so then that way that text will be clickable and it'll go to that email address. All right. So that's kind of the confusing part with email. You just have to make sure you have the address put in there twice. The first one within the anchor href opening tag. Okay, so let me save that. Let's preview it again. All right, so you can see now we have a clickable email address there. So if I click on that, it's not going to do it on this lab computer. Usually what it's going to do, it's going to bring up your email client that's on your computer and try to send an email. Right, okay, we got about 10 minutes. That pretty much covered chapter 2. The final thing is I talked about validation, okay? So we want to validate. So let's try to validate one of our examples here. Okay, so let's do, we're gonna go ahead and close that out and keep brackets open. Let's go ahead and go into the chapter 2 folder, the ones we downloaded from Canvas. And we're going to use this design.html file. So you can just make a copy of that and just paste it into your My Chapter 2, or actually let's just paste it onto your desktop for now. Okay, so you should have a design.html file there. Let's go ahead and pull up that website for the validation. Okay, so validator. .w3.org. And once you get there, we want to do validate by file upload. So I'm going to browse and find that design.html file. Let's go ahead and hit check. Okay, so we're good. We've got a green there, document check and complete, no errors. All right, so let's just make a mistake on it just to show you what would happen. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open that up in brackets. And let's do, let's go ahead and let's remove one of these. So like, let's remove that closing strong tag there on line 10. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. And go back. All right, so I uploaded that file again through the browser and hit check. Okay, so you're going to see here, now we got quite a few errors going on. First one, the tag LI, right after there, has open elements, an unclosed element, okay, right? So for that opening strong tag there. Okay, so just by removing that one element tag, you know, it really kind of messed everything up in the code. So the nice thing is with that validator, it's going to tell you where your errors are. So you can go back and go line by line. Okay, so it knows which line you're at there. So then I can go back and you'll see here also in brackets, we got a red showing up. Okay, so it knows that something's not right. We have this closing list element, but something's missing. Okay, so then it's just going to be a matter of going through your code, just starting at the first column there and just kind of going through. And it's like, oops, we missed the closing tag there for strong. Okay, the red went away. We should be good. Let's save it. Okay, let's upload that again. And we're good. We got green. Okay. All right. That covers chapter 2. So if you got everything completed, if you're watching this after the fact, if you're watching the recording, what you'll do now is you'll have all of your files in your My Chapter 2 folder. You'll want to compress that. Okay, so I'm going to use, they have this program called 7-Zip on the lab computers. So I can right click on that folder, go to 7-Zip, and I'm going to compress to, or I'm going to click the option here, it says add my chapter 2.zip. And all it's going to do is make a zip file there. It'll save it in the same directory or folder, wherever you're at on your computer. Once I have that, then I can go into Canvas. Again, okay, let me jump back out here to student view. So what I want you to do is click into the chapter, class activity chapter 2 assignment. Oh yeah, I already, you can always resubmit stuff too. So if you submit something but you make changes, just hit the resubmit. Find the new file there, my chapter 2.zip, hit open. You can leave me a comment if you want, and then just hit submit. Okay. All right, so you'll do the same thing now. So the only other thing you'll need to do this weekend is your case study. Okay, so that is starts on page 73. Okay, so you're going to be kind of doing the same thing. If you go to page 74 there, you'll see you're going to make an HTML, an index page that looks like that. And then you're going to just make a couple other pages, just like we did with that, the Trillium one, where we started with the index file, and then we made some changes, made a services page, and we made a contact us page. Okay, you're going to do that exact same type of thing with this one to create those extra pages there. And it just goes step by step in the book, tells you what they want you to do. And if you run into a snag, you can just go back and find the class activity, a hands-on practice activity that covers what they want you to do there. All right, so you'll do that, finish up a couple of your quizzes for this week, and then should be good. If you do have any questions over the weekend, shoot me an email. I'll be checking email this weekend, and I can help you out through the case study if you have any questions on it. All right. And then when you're done, just make a folder, put all your files in there, zip the folder, and then just upload it into Canvas in the case study chapter 2 assignment right here. All righty, that's it for today. Everybody, you guys all have a good weekend. Everybody on Zoom, have a good weekend. And we'll see you guys virtually on Monday.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
I do have one question about the case study, though.
Yeah.
In the div section where they're putting the information, I can't get the phone number spaced out right.
Okay. Let me take a look here. Okay, so that would be. Okay. Okay. You might have to add. Do you have a couple of line breaks in there? The BR element.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I tried that and it didn't do it, so I just like made a separate division and it still didn't do it. Also, it says when. It's like,
Go ahead. Let's go ahead and get rid of that second div there. Go ahead and type one more page break in there. Just want to see. Back there. Take real quick.
just like agree with them.
Yeah. Go ahead and try.
There we go.
Yeah,
That was it.
you were good. It's just brackets does some fun things sometimes like that.
Oh, and the main's fixed too. Okay.
So you were good. I got the little cork with brackets.
Okay.
What was that? Yeah.
Okay, so I've been fighting this way 2 days. Which one? I'll open the show, like, preview, but they're not
Okay. Okay. Was this the latest version you downloaded? Brackets? Okay. Yeah, it should. Okay. And it just always gives you that error for the library review.
Yeah, whenever first time I did it, the total didn't show up.
I'm gonna close it. I got another class coming in here real quick, but we can go over to my office if you have time. Hey, you too.